Your fingers tremble above the console. The metal is cold. It feels final. You take one last, shuddering breath. The air tastes of dust and ozone. You press the activation sequence. A single red light begins to pulse. It paints the dark command center in shades of blood. This is it. The emergency beacon is active. One last time. A soft hum fills the silence. It is the sound of your voice crossing the void. You clear your throat. A small, human noise. A noise that feels impossibly loud in this tomb. You lean toward the microphone. This is the last transmission from Colony 8. You hope someone is listening. You pray they understand. Across the great curving window, darkness. The stars here are sharp and unfamiliar. They do not offer comfort, not anymore. This place was supposed to be a new beginning. Now it is an end, your end. And maybe, if you fail, the end of everything. The light on the console pulses. A steady heartbeat for a dying world. You have one story to tell, and not much time to tell it. So you begin. You speak of home. You speak of what you lost, what everyone back on Earth stands to lose. The words feel heavy. Each one is a ghost, but you force them out. This message is more than a warning. It is a weapon. It is the only weapon you have left. You remember the hope that built this place. It was so thick, you could almost taste it. We called this world Verdant, a name full of promise. And for a time, it delivered. The sky was a gentle violet. The twin suns warmed the soil just right. Our terraformer had worked a miracle. It turned rock and dust into a paradise. You close your eyes, and you can almost see it. The central plaza teeming with life. Children laughing as they chased native sky rays. Their wings were like colored glass. You remember the market stalls, the smell of alien fruit and fresh baked bread. It smelled like success. It smelled like the future. This colony was a monument to human courage. We traveled for 100 years in cryo-sleep. We left a crowded Earth behind. We were pioneers, explorers, gardeners on a cosmic scale. Every building, every road, every farm was a testament to our will. A statement that humanity belonged among the stars. We were so proud and so naive. We thought we were alone. You think of Commander Eva Rostova. Her speech on Founding Day still rings in your ears. She said we were the architects of a new dawn. We were not just surviving, we were thriving. And we were. We built a perfect little world, a fragile, beautiful snow globe in the middle of a blizzard. We just didn't see the storm coming. It started as a whisper on our sensors, a signal from the deep black between galaxies. It wasn't a warning or a threat. It was a song, a complex, layered melody that resonated in our bones. Our star science experts were ecstatic. First contact. And it was beautiful. The notes rose and fell in haunting refrains. The song appeared on every frequency. It played through the comms. It echoed in the colony's data streams. Some people said they could hear it in their dreams. We tried to decode it. We thought it was a language, a message of peace from a star-born neighbor. We broadcast our own reply. We sent them everything, our mathematics, our music, our history. We were fools. We gave them the keys to our minds. The signal was a lure, the most beautiful fishing lure ever made. And we swam right for it. The melody was too perfect. It felt designed to soothe us, to disarm us, to make us feel safe. Looking back, you wonder how we missed the danger. The universe doesn't send lullabies. It sends warnings. We should have known better. No one gets a free lunch, especially not a 5-star meal at the restaurant at the end of the universe. The signal wasn't a greeting. It was an anesthetic. The patient was prepped. The The surgeon was about to make the first cut. The beautiful song promised our end, and we hummed along right until the very last note. They did not arrive in warships. There was no grand fleet, no shock and awe. That would have been a mercy. We were prepared for a fight. We were not prepared for what came. They fell from the violet sky like stone tears, long, slender shapes of obsidian black. They looked like statues, mourning angels carved from star stuff. They did not burn on entry. They simply appeared in the upper atmosphere, silent, cold. And then they fell, one by one, thousands of them. They did not crash into the ground. They landed with impossible grace. They embedded themselves in the soil of our farms. They stood in our plazas. They settled on the roofs of our homes. Unmoving, each one was unique. Some were tall and thin. Others were broad and powerful. They all shared one feature. Their heads were bowed. Their faces were smooth, featureless stone. Looked as though they were weeping for a world that was already dead. It was an invasion by art installation, and it was terrifying. The colony went into high alert. But what were we supposed to do? You can't declare war on a sculpture. For 3 days they just stood there, silent sentinels in our perfect little world. The children were scared. The adults were pretending not to be. We watched them, we waited, and we listened to their beautiful, terrible song. Our defense grid was state-of-the-art. A network of plasma cannons and kinetic railguns. It could turn an asteroid field into dust. It was our shield against the harshness of space. Commander Rostova gave the order. We would show them we were not helpless. We would give them a taste of human resolve. A very loud, very explosive taste of resolve. The sky above Verdant lit up. White-hot lances of energy crisscrossed the sky. Tungsten rods moving at near light speed slammed into the figures. The ground shook with each impact. The air crackled with power. We fired everything we had. For a full hour, we unleashed a storm of controlled destruction. It was the most impressive fireworks display in human history. When the dust settled, nothing. Not a scratch. Not a scorch mark. The plasma had dissipated against their stone skin. The kinetic rounds had simply stopped, their energy absorbed without a trace. The stone figures stood exactly as they had before, heads bowed, silent, mocking us with their stillness. Every weapon was useless. That was the moment the hope began to die. It curdled into fear. We were facing something beyond our comprehension, something that did not obey the rules of physics as we knew them. Commander Rostova stood on the command deck. Her face was as pale as a ghost. We had thrown a thunderbolt, and the statues didn't even blink. The statues did not need to attack us directly. Their song was doing the work for them. After the failed defense, a new element entered the melody, a low, pulsing whisper. You could barely hear it. It was at the edge of human perception. But it was there, a serpent in our garden of sound. It infected the colony's quiet moments. The whisper was subtle at first. You would mishear a word from a friend. You would see a shadow move in your peripheral vision. Small things, little seeds of doubt and fear. Then it grew worse. People became withdrawn, suspicious. You would see old friends glaring at each other across the plaza. Their eyes were full of a paranoia that wasn't their own. A madness began to bloom in the walls of our home. The signal was rewriting our minds. It found our deepest anxieties and amplified them. It turned trust into suspicion. It turned love into resentment. It turned friends into paranoid, hollow shells. The colony's spirit was being eroded from the inside out. We were being unmade. You remember seeing a technician, a good man named Gian, smash a diagnostic panel with his bare hands. He was screaming about voices in the machine. He wasn't wrong. The voices were everywhere. The whisper was a psychic virus. And we were all infected. Our perfect world was becoming a madhouse. You remember the last day of order with perfect, painful clarity. The whisper had grown into a roar in people's minds. The madness broke its chains. Riots erupted in the main dome. It wasn't for food or supplies. It was just mindless violence. Neighbor against neighbor. Family against family. The social contract had been shredded. Then, the statues began to walk. For the first time since they arrived, they moved. Their movement was slow, inexorable, like glaciers of black stone. They walked through the chaos. They did not attack anyone. They didn't have to. Their very presence amplified the madness. Everywhere they went, the violence grew more intense. From the command center, you watched it all on the security feeds. The world you helped build was tearing itself apart. Commander Rostova was trying to restore order. She was pleading over the colony-wide comms. But her voice was just one more sound in a symphony of insanity. Then her broadcast cut out. Just static. You watched the life signs on the command roster wink out. One by one. You sealed the doors to the command center. You locked yourself in. You were a coward. You were a survivor. Both things were true. Outside, your world was ending in fire and screams. The statues walked, and we broke. We shattered into a million sharp, angry pieces. Now you sit alone in the command center. The silence is a physical weight. It presses in on you from all sides. The emergency lights cast long, dancing shadows. The main power grid failed days ago. The only sound is the station's dying hum, the last gasp of a technological ghost. It is a lonely sound. You are the last one. You have walked the empty halls. You have seen the dust gathering on abandoned consoles. You have called out and heard only your own echo. It's a strange feeling. To be the sole occupant of a place built for 10,000. You've got all the leg room you could ever want. A little dark humor. It helps keep the other kind of darkness at bay. You spend your days watching the statues. They are still out there. They stand in the ruins of your home. Their work is done. They are waiting. For what, you do not know. Sometimes you think you can still hear their song. A faint, phantom melody on the edge of hearing. Or maybe that's just the silence playing tricks on you. You are a ghost in the machine, the last custodian of a failed dream. Your only companions are the blinking lights of the console. They are your stars now, a tiny galaxy of reds and greens. And you are their lonely god, wondering what comes next, wondering if you have the strength to face it. You could have given up. You could have let the silence take you. But that is not in your nature. It is not in humanity's nature. So you turn back to the beginning. You re-examined the alien signal for answers. You dedicated every remaining processing cycle to that terrible, beautiful song. You were going to find a way to make them pay. Even if it cost you everything. For weeks you worked. You barely slept. You lived on nutrient paste and bitter coffee. The song mocked you. Its perfect repeating patterns seemed to have no flaw. It was a closed loop of psychic warfare. You analyzed its waveforms. You dissected its frequencies. You ran simulations until the processors overheated. Nothing. Then you found it. A flicker. An anomaly so small it was almost statistical noise. A hidden frequency tucked beneath the main melody. It wasn't part of the song. It was a control signal. A carrier wave that directed the main broadcast. And within that control signal, a vulnerability, a resonance flaw, a tiny, perfect crack in their armor. It was a moment of pure, savage joy. You laughed until you cried. They were not gods. They had made a mistake, a tiny oversight in their perfect weapon, and you had found it. The whisper in their song was about to meet a human scream. You finally had a way to fight back. The revelation hit you with the force of a physical blow. The statues are not an army. They are not the enemy. They are tools. They are living amplifiers, massive organic resonators designed for a single purpose: to receive that control signal and broadcast its madness across an entire world. They are cosmic tuning forks, and they had tuned our world to the frequency of self-destruction. This changed everything. You were not fighting soldiers. You were fighting a broadcast network. You couldn't shoot it. You couldn't bomb it. You had to hijack it. You had to find a way to send your own signal, a signal that would exploit that tiny flaw you had discovered. You needed to find a way to shout louder than they could. This explained their invulnerability. They weren't designed to withstand weapons. They were designed to absorb and redirect energy. Our plasma cannons and railguns were just more power for their broadcast. We had been feeding the very thing that was destroying us. A perfect parasitic system, a truly elegant way to conquer a species. No fuss, no mess. Just turn them against themselves and wait. But they had made one critical miscalculation. They assumed we would break completely. They assumed no one would be left to look closely at their song. They assumed a species driven to madness would lose its curiosity, its stubbornness, its unrelenting need to poke things with a stick just to see what happens. They underestimated the last monkey in the room with a keyboard. Your eyes drift across the command center. They land on the primary systems panel. A single dominant schematic is displayed there. The planetary terraformer, the colossal machine that gave this world life, the engine that spun the atmosphere and seeded the oceans. It was the greatest engineering project in human history. And you realize it can also be a weapon. The terraformer's core is a contained singularity, a nexus of unimaginable power. We used it to shape the very fabric of this planet, to generate magnetic fields, to stabilize the climate. But its primary function is broadcasting. It sends out precisely tuned energy waves to manipulate the environment. It is the most powerful transmitter ever built. It's a bigger, better amplifier. A plan begins to form in your mind. A desperate, insane, beautiful plan. The statues were broadcasting on a specific psychic frequency. You could use the terraformer to broadcast your own signal, a counter-resonance. Using the flaw you found, you could overload their network. You could feed their song back on itself until it shattered. It would be a feedback loop of cosmic proportions. The machine that gave this world its breath would be used to scream a final defiant war cry. There was only one problem. The power required would be immense. It would consume the terraformer's core. It would consume this entire world. This is your final desperate gambit. You will overload the terraformer. You will turn this entire planet into a resonance bomb. The resulting energy wave will propagate faster than light. It will follow their signal back to its source. It will find whoever sent this song of madness, and it will deliver humanity's reply. It is a suicide mission. The overload sequence cannot be stopped once it begins. The planet will be consumed in the blast, but the network of statues will be shattered. Their perfect silent weapon will be broken. Humanity will be safe, for a while. This world will be humanity's last shield, a final incandescent act of defiance. You look at the photos pinned to your console, your family back on Earth, your friends who built this world with you. They are all gone, but you are still here. You are the sole inheritor of their will, their last soldier. You will not let their deaths be in vain. You will not let humanity fall without a fight. This is more than revenge. It is a warning, a promise. We are still here, and we bite back. Your hand moves to the central console. A small, transparent cover protects a single key. The key that begins the terraformer's core overload sequence. It was a safety measure, a fail-safe designed to be used only in the most extreme circumstances. You think this qualifies? You smile grimly. Time to break the glass. You flip the cover open. The key glows with a soft, internal light. You take a deep breath. You place your finger on it, and you press. A low thrum begins to resonate through the deck plates. A deep, powerful hum that grows in intensity. The ground itself begins to tremble with a gathering power. The lights in the command center flicker and then shine with a new, fierce intensity. On the main screen, the terraformer's schematic comes to life. Energy levels are spiking. The readings are climbing past every safety margin. Red alerts flash across the board. The system's automated voice begins to speak. A calm, female voice. Warning. Core integrity at 500%. Warning. Imminent quantum cascade failure. You mute it. You don't need the reminder. The hum becomes a roar. The entire command center is shaking now. Dust rains down from the ceiling. Outside the window, the violet sky begins to shimmer. A strange green aurora is forming at the poles. The planet is waking up. It is screaming. You have armed the world breaker. You have lit the fuse on a star. And it is the most beautiful thing you have ever seen. The terraformer is charging. It will be several minutes before it reaches critical mass. You have a little time. The comms system is still drawing power. The emergency beacon is still broadcasting. You could send a final goodbye. A message of love to a home you will never see again. But you have a better idea. You use the remaining power to broadcast one thing. Not a warning. Not a plea. A declaration. You access the colony's cultural archives. Every book, every piece of music, every film, every painting. All the art and knowledge you brought from Earth. A digital record of a species' soul. You bypass the safety protocols. You channel the full bandwidth of the beacon into one massive data burst. You send them Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. You send them Shakespeare's sonnets. You send them Van Gogh's Starry Night. Let them see it. Let the silent, weeping statues and their hidden masters bear witness. This is who you are destroying. A species that dreams of beauty. A species that creates art out of chaos. A species that looks at an empty canvas and sees a universe of possibility. Your music and your art become your final defiant roar. You add the scientific archives, the double helix of DNA, the elegant equations of relativity, the star charts mapping our journey. You send them everything. A final gift, a final testament. You are more than just flesh and anger. You are hope and wonder, and you will not go quietly into the void. Humanity's defiant symphony now sings across the stars. The console flashes. Core detonation in 60 seconds. The shaking is violent now. The world is coming apart. You grip the sides of the console to stay in your chair. This is it. The final moment. You lean into the microphone one last time. Your voice is calm, steady. Remember us. Remember Verdant. Tell them what we did here. Tell them we did not die in despair. We died in defiance. We turned our home into a weapon. We turned our grief into a shield. We bought you time. Use it. Do not make the same mistakes we did. Do not listen to their song. A new light is dawning outside, a brilliant, impossible white. It consumes the sky. The weapon is armed and ready to fire. You have to tell them how to fight. The resonance frequency, the flaw in their perfect weapon. You speak the numbers clearly. You repeat them. This is your legacy, the key to our survival. Be ready. They are out there, and they are coming. But they are not gods. They can be beaten. Look for the whisper in their song. Look for the cracks in their armor. Humanity does not bow. We do not break. We fight. For our homes. For our children. For the right to sing our own songs under our own stars. Remember? The transmission ends in a sudden, final burst of static. The light outside becomes everything. Your final thought is a simple one. A hope that somewhere, across the silent darkness, someone is listening, and that they will be ready.